Okay. Greetings, connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I invite you to watch and listen to the Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on YouTube. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it, especially if you love the movies? Greetings, imagination.
Shalom is now available on all VOD
major platforms. I think we messed that up.
Video on demand, or as they say in the trade, VOD.
VOD. Tango Shalom is now available on all VOD platforms,
which means
video on demand.
Look how you know. You must be a high school graduate.
I'm a college graduate.
Really?
Yes.
I got an honorary degree from Hofstra. Did you get an honorary degree?
No, I got a degree.
Oh, well, I got honorary. You know, I'm in the Jewish Museum.
What for?
What do you mean? As a famous Jew in the Bronx. I'm in the famous...
I'm in the Prospect Park in the Stones.
How big is the stone?
Robservations with Robert Meyer Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, your evangelist of the imagination. Of course, your existential Mr. Rogers, whatever the hell that means. That's right, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I am Rob casting to you. You imagination connoisseurs, you members of this, the Post-Geek Singularity community. This is Robservations, episode number 770. It's a week all about Spider-Man. It could be about other things, but really, let's face it, it's all about Spider-Man. It's all about Spider-Man No Way Home. Opening on Thursday. All the questions will be answered. We're going to talk about Spider-Man, this show. Interesting article in Esquire I wanted to share with you. But first, you know him. You love him. All the way from Canada, your friendly neighborhood, well, Canuck, Mr. Kevin the Comic Doctor. Kevin, welcome back to Robservations.
Hey, Rob, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. Of course, we've had you on a few times. You're always bringing interesting wares. Now, let me ask you. Are you excited about Spider-Man No Way Home?
Going crazy here. I can't wait till Thursday at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I'll be there with my fam watching it. It's going to be fantastic.
You got your tickets already?
Oh, as soon as I got it. The day they went on sale, about 3 hours in, they're already almost sold out, but I got some good seats, so I'm pretty happy.
Well, that's good to hear. Now, do you have any predictions about this film? There's been a lot of a brouhaha talking about they showed an opening scene, a little bit of the opening of the movie, and have you been following the Hawkeye Spider-Man No Way Home crossover a little bit?
Hawkeye crossover?
Yeah, bruh. So apparently in the opening scene, you can see a poster, an ad for Rogers the Musical.
I saw that. Yeah, okay, I saw that.
Now, we know that Spider-Man No Way Home takes place directly after Far From Home. And Far From Home takes place about 7 months after the blip, which means that it's summertime. So Far From Home takes place in the summer because they're on a vacation. They're on summer vacation.
Right.
Hawkeye takes place at Christmas time after that.
Oh.
So
Hawkeye's post No Way Home.
Hawkeye's post No Way Home. So,
Okay.
however No Way Home ends, I ask you the question. In Hawkeye, does Hawkeye remember Spider-Man? Does Hawkeye remember when we saw superheroes on the street, there was everyone that was dressed up as like Ant-Man, but there was no Spider-Man.
I don't think it's gonna be that connected. I don't think so.
But in terms of, I mean, if Doctor Strange's spell works,
Hawkeye could be he could be a different universe, a different multiverse as well.
It
right?
could be. I mean,
that's why that Kingpin could be there.
But is this the MCU? Is this our MCU? I mean, questions arise. Questions.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, wouldn't it be sad if the Avengers also have forgotten all about that they fought alongside Spider-Man? They forgot Peter Parker, and they just know that, oh, Spider-Man's this character, but the Avengers don't have any record of ever having met him.
Do you think the timing of the series and the movie, that's all considered? Do you think the big wigs over at Marvel timed it all like that too?
I do.
You do? Okay.
I do. Yes, I do.
I just don't think it's going to be as okay. We've got so many, speculative ideas as to what's going on here. All the red herrings are throwing at us too, because who knows if those two dudes are going to be in this or not?
Wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are not in the film?
I think it'd be great if they're in the film, but not Spider-Man. I heard someone say that Tobey could be Uncle Ben, or there's other characters, but. I don't know, but I don't think, it's just like when we were watching WandaVision and we were watching all of the others. We build this huge idea in our head, and then we get a pretty normal, response from the creators. So I don't know. I think they want us to come up with all these different ideas, but in the end, I don't know. I hope it's bonkers. I was saying last time, I think we're in for a real bonkers movie. I think we are. But is it going to be really all that revealing? Are they going to tie in Hawkeye like you're saying? I don't know.
Well, I don't necessarily think it's there's definitely there's the Rogers the musical is happening.
Yes.
And I think that ultimately if this movie, like, personally, I don't know anything about the actual plot of the film other than what's been revealed in the trailers. Although I do know that there are cameos that people don't even know are in the movie.
Yeah, I would think that's going to happen. But I was listening to you and Urim talking the other day, and something you said actually is like, it's going to be a spectacle movie. Is it going to be a movie of growth? Probably not. It's going to be more, fan service and spectacle. I'm okay with that, but I want the growth too. So I'm pretty greedy that way. I want,
I think there's going to be growth. I think there's going to be an important death. I think that this movie is going to end on a fairly melancholy note.
I like when they do that, though.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Of course, I don't know this for a fact. I don't have any other information.
Oh, come on. You have all the inside information, Rob. We all know that.
No, and if I did, I wouldn't share it.
No, of course not.
I wouldn't share it. But no, but I don't know about how this movie ends. I really don't. And the premiere's tonight. So there's going to be we'll get a lot of feedback from people. It'll be really interesting to hear.
That's what I'm excited to hear, some of the feedback from those that see it overseas. I really want to see what they think. I hope it's not negative. Like the Eternals got that mixed review, and I'm like, I put a damper on it.
Yeah, but I really liked Eternals. I mean, I stand by my enjoyment of Eternals. I do.
No, I thought it was a pretty good movie too. Again, we said it the other day, it was it's a rebuilding of all these different new properties, and they got to get their footing. So we can't be off the races so quickly. We weren't off the races right off the bat. Captain America, the first Avenger, I liked that movie. It had its hiccups, but they got their footing. They figured things out, and we got a great MCU just a few years later. So we got to give them a chance to get there.
I agree.
I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the Sonyverse, though.
Isn't it? I mean, what did you think of Across the Spider-Verse, the trailer for the new animated film?
Well, I went out and started buying a few of these.
I have those. What about those?
That's the first Spider-Man 2099.
Oh.
Yeah, I picked up that night. I went on eBay and bought like 3 copies, because the prices hadn't popped yet. The next day, double. So I got a couple.
I'll have to send you one of them. I didn't realize that. I have that comic.
Yeah, that's that.
I was happy to have the Hot Toys Spider-Man 2099. I mean, I'm sure they'll make another one for the film, but you know.
I tell you, I see all your Hot Toys. I'm on the fence, Rob, but I don't know if I can jump in.
You know what? You should only jump in if they make you happy.
Oh, they make me happy, very happy, but I have nowhere to put them. That's the problem, man. That's the issue.
I've been packing all mine up because we're going to have to move. So the Robservatory is being packed up. Yeah,
I heard that your movie. You guys found a place yet?
No, we're looking. It's just our landlord. It happens when people that own. I love this house. We've been here for 5 years, and but it happens. People want to sell their properties and leave.
Is the market hot down there too? Like the market up in Canada is crazy. In Ontario's nuts. Okay.
Yeah, the market's really hot. I understand that. So it's just a question of finding, where to go, buy a house. Sure. I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
I found a great house I'd love to live in, but it's a little out of my price range.
Yeah, I know.
We got the loan. We got the loan approved. We just don't have the down payment. Oh well.
Yeah. Oh, to buy something.
Yeah. Because I don't want to move again.
It's a pain in the ass. The worst thing you can do is move.
And I've moved all my life in California. I'm so tired of it.
And slugging those long boxes. Oh my Lord.
That's what it is. The reason I don't want to move again is because of the long boxes. Oh, horrible.
I downsize.
It's time to get rid of it all. But I said, I'm going to get a lot of my books. I'm going to get some of them bound.
Yeah, up. You're saying.
Like 6 from Sirius, Atari Force. I mean, no one's going to care about Atari Force except me.
Yeah, like I said, until they announce the movie, and then
and then I'll be like, God damn it, why did I bound them all up?
Do that for it.
But so anyway, speaking of comics,
yes,
you've got something to give away on this show.
Well, yeah, I love this cover. This is Lucio Perillo cover, and it's the Green Goblin. I don't know if you can see that all right.
Mm-hmm.
No reflection.
Yep, that is Amazing Spider-Man 799, a variant cover. It's a variant.
That's right. I believe it's the second appearance of the Red Goblin. I believe it's an early appearance of the Red Goblin.
That is a stunning cover.
Yeah,
and it's a 9.8. It's hard to get better than that.
That's right. So,
before we give that away, you said you had some good books to show.
Oh, well, these guys came in just the other day. I'll show you the first one here. This is a Hulk 180 in a 9.4.
Ooh.
Now many people think this is a true first appearance of Wolverine because you see him at the very last page. But that's a debate that goes on and on and on. And this is a 9.4. I'll be taking this book out of the slab, working my comic doctor magic and trying to get him a higher grade.
Wow.
That's the first one. But you can't have a 180 without a 181.
And there it is, the first appearance of Wolverine.
This is the official first appearance of Wolverine. This is a 9.6. Now,
can you make a book better than that?
You can get into a 9.8, and if you do, the book is worth, quite a bit. And I'm not cracking this one. He wanted me to crack it. I said, no, I'm not doing that. So I'm sending this one to CGC. I'm going to have them crack it and have their pressers over there take a look at it, and they'll pre-screen the book and say whether or not it's a good idea. If they think it's a good idea, they'll go for it. And potentially you could pop this book from a 9.6 to a 9.8. And then all of a sudden you've got a book. I'm not even sure what they're going for now. Probably north of 50,000 for sure.
Wow.
I think even more than that. I think you're up to 60, 70 now, I think. For a 9.8.
I'm calling my boys and I'm going to have them come over to your house tonight. Pull a heist.
Yeah, I'm unlisted. You can't find me.
Oh, well, there you go.
You can't find me. Right?
You're off the grid, huh?
Yeah, this will be out of my house soon. This is going to Florida like the next day. It's gone. So don't come here. I don't want you here. Nobody.
What else you got?
What else do I have here? What do we got here? This is kind of an old Daredevil book. It's nothing special. It's a nice 9 point.
Yeah, that's a great cover. What cover is that? What issue is that? Wait, we just lost you. I just lost your sound. Did you hit a key and hit mute on your? Still can't hear you. It sounded like you hit something. like a key on the keyboard. Maybe hit mute. Still can't hear you. Well, when you come back here, we are going to give away this comic, and that's of course Kevin, the comic doctor. He's going to give away that Amazing Spider-Man $7.99, which is cool. We don't need him. Oh, I don't have you on the camera. We don't need to hear you. We still can't hear you. I don't know why. Try something. But anyway, so it's pretty exciting. And so a lot of the internet was abuzz with these rumors like, does Hawkeye not know who Spider-Man is anymore? I don't know. I never really thought of that. Oh, I've got you back. Kevin is back. Right. There you are, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. Actually, before we go back to the Daredevil book.
You're out of sync, though. It's kind of cool. It's like watching the dubbed version of Kevin the Comic Doctor from Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no, now you're okay.
Right.
You're good.
I'm okay? All right, excellent. I was going to ask you this question. Is it possible that you're
kind of okay.
I'm okay. Okay. Then Andrew Garfield comes in, makes his cameo appearance, and then our Peter Parker, the one we know and love right now, gets zapped away, but Andrew sticks around, or Toby, and they become the new Spider-Man in our universe.
I don't think so. I don't think they would do that. I think that. I mean, just because Tom Holland is, he's too important. His last movie made $1 billion. And I don't think they'd be in any hurry to get rid of him, because I would imagine that the plan is now sending him to college. They talk about college in this movie, or they're going to go to MIT or something. And I think both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are 10 years older. And so, but I don't know.
They wouldn't have two Spider-Men running around in different universes? Confusing?
I don't think they will. I don't think they're going to do that. And I think that the multiverse, I mean, they're leading up to, obviously the multiverse is going to stick around in Doctor Strange, and it's also in Quantum Mania. So I think they're leading up to something, and then they'll tie it off. They'll all of these threads that they've been pulling at. I mean, they can't let it happen. They can't just allow this giant multiverse to exist forever. I wouldn't imagine, or maybe they can. I don't know.
Jumping back and forth, I guess.
But you know what? As far as this movie is concerned, all bets are off. Like, I think this movie is going to go full on crazy.
And I hope you're right. I hope that's the case. I hope it's just not plain Jane. We go there, we get our, what we usually get. We just come up with so many great ideas, and oftentimes those ideas are just kind of put aside, and we get something a little less maybe spectacular, not good, also quite good, but not as bonkers as you're saying. But I hope it is as bonkers as you're saying, because that'll be.
I don't know if it's going to get that bonkers, but obviously, with Marvel, with the trailers that Marvel always shows us, they usually pick from like 3 scenes in the movie, and a lot of the rest of the movie we just don't see much from that. So the stuff that they've shown already, I mean, it's pretty crazy. I would imagine the movie gets even crazier. So we'll see. What
kind of revolt are we going to have if those two aren't in it?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think that, here's the thing. I personally think that we're going to see multiple Spider-Men in the movie. I mean, I think I really do, because you can't set up these villains and talk about how they all died at the hands of their own Spider-Men and not, I mean, it just seems to me like you're just missing an opportunity. And this whole idea, it worked so well in Into the Spider-Verse in the animated film. I would imagine that, first of all, just, you know what, I've always been of the opinion, I always ask myself, but wouldn't it be cool if? And I like people who think that way. And I think that in the case of this movie, if there's one person who understands multiple realities and multiple, I go back, did something like this ever happen in the Next Generation? And it did. We saw multiple realities or multiple Worfs. They might not have interacted with each other, but we saw them. And I think that, and Kevin Feige is a huge Next Generation fan, And we do have other people, like there's William Riker and Thomas Riker. There's Thomas Riker is the transporter double, and I think that wouldn't it be cool if they showed up? And if they do show up, good on Marvel for playing the long game. I mean, we're gonna know it's going to be out. The information about whether or not Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in this movie is going to leak tonight, definitively.
Yeah.
So we will find out for show, and we'll know. But I think it's going to be it's fun nonetheless.
Why wouldn't they have released it at the same time as here? Like, why would they release it 3 or 4 days earlier?
Well, it's the world premiere.
Is tonight?
It's tonight. It's in Westwood. The world premiere is tonight. The Bruin, the same theaters that played the Batman premiere when Batman opened in 1989. It's in the same place.
You were there, weren't you?
I was.
Nice.
I was there. So pretty cool. I'm excited. You know, it's going to be. I mean, I'm sure not all the beans will be spilled, but some will. So
yeah, I got to plug our ears for the next few days, man. I'm telling you.
I know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they're both going to show up too, especially Tobey. They've already made reference to him in a way, right? Is this not your Spider-Man? No, it's not. Well, then who's the Spider-Man?
Right.
He's got to be there, and maybe this will bolster Tobey Maguire's career a little bit too, because it's kind of been
he hasn't been around much.
No.
Well, so let's get to your giveaway, sir.
Yeah, by all means.
All right, I'm going to put on the Justin Toner is here, Josh Levesque is here, my moderators.
Excellent.
Okay, we're going to ask a question. So, if you want to everybody look, see, I need everyone on their best behavior. Here is the question. We all know, maybe not all of us, but we all know that the Green Goblin was first introduced in Amazing Spider-Man 14, which came out in July of 1964. But the question that I'm looking for is, in what issue and in what comic was the Green Goblin's actual name Norman Osborn? When did Norman Osborn himself first make an appearance? When was he first introduced? When and where? What issue? Which comic? That's what I'm looking for.
It was a Marvel team up, I think.
Come on now. So let's see if anyone has that answer. Everyone's like going to Wikipedia, but or they're going to Marvel. They're going to.
They're looking.
Mike Alito says Superman 721. Yep. Nope. Issue 3 of the Hulk. No. Oh man, and it's graded, says Tony Reyes. Yep, it's a 9.8. Spider-Man 100. No. Eric Gant is asking questions. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Wait. Let me make sure. I think we might have a winner. Matt the End Pod. Amazing Spider-Man 37 is the correct answer. So Matt the End Pod says ASM 37, you, sir, are correct.
Congratulations.
Norman Osborn was introduced officially as Norman Osborn in Amazing Spider-Man 37. So that's the issue. Now, the great thing about having our comic doctor here, Kevin will send this comic directly to you. Right, Kevin?
Yeah, and just an update on the other ones we've given away. And by the way, if you're watching, guys, previous winners, if you've received your comics, let us know. I'd like to know if you've gotten them or not. The first Eternals #1 went all the way to Ireland, I believe. So I don't know if it's been received or not. And the Hawkeye House of M sent out. Now the Hawkeye #1, the first Kate Bishop solo story, that's still at CGC being graded. So once that comes back, the winner will get it. So I'm just waiting on that. And I did put it through Express, so it should get done a little quicker. They're pretty backed up over there. And I did press it, and it's going to come back 9698 for sure. I'm pretty confident.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And that's a 98, the Green Goblin. So we need you, Matt, the End Pod. We need you to tell me or tell the moderators, get your address to them so Kevin can send out the comic.
Yeah.
Kevin, so tell us, you've got your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And where can people find you on YouTube?
Yeah, you can find me. Just look up The Comic Doctor. I do weekly shows. I do a show called What's in the Press, where I show a lot of the books that I'm working on week after week. And as CGC sends books back from their headquarters in Sarasota, I also do unboxings here. I show people the books as they're coming back. I started actually doing a little show where I'm showing my own collection. So every few days I show 7 or 8 books from my own personal collection. I have about 3 episodes on there right now. So yeah, look me up on The Comic Doctor. And tonight, actually, at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, I'll be over at Shelby's Comics. And we're talking about the history of comic books. And we're looking at the Golden Age. So if you want to join us later on tonight, we'll be there as well.
Is Shelby's Comics another YouTube channel?
He's another YouTube channel. That's right. Another smaller YouTube channel like myself. And we love comic books. We like talking about comic books. And so
well,
you meet a lot of people out there. As you start doing shows, as you know, you start meeting different folks. And it's pretty fun. A lot of fun.
I want everyone to go over to Shelby's Comics tonight and then go subscribe to The Comic Doctor on YouTube and put in the chats and comments that we sent you, that you came over here because of Robservations. And
that's right.
You came here wanting to get a free book.
A free book. Well, I'll be
Don't
back.
ask him for more free books.
Yeah, I'm only giving free books out on your show right now. Shipping's expensive, and so are these books. So that's okay. I don't mind. I like doing it.
So what were you going to say about doing another one?
For Book of Boba Fett, I have that other book. It's way over there somewhere. I'm not going to get it now, but I've got another 9.8. I think it's a Bounty Hunters #1, I believe it is, that we'll be giving out on Robservations closer to that show as well.
That'll be post-Christmas, because Book of Boba Fett's, the 29th of December?
Yeah, the 29th. I'm actually more excited about Cobra Kai. Don't tell anybody. I love that show.
I think a lot of people love that show.
Love that show.
It's great.
They did it right. They did it right.
They did do it right. I wish the people who make Star Trek Discovery would watch Cobra Kai and go, "Oh yeah,"
and Star Wars. And Star Wars.
Yeah, it's true.
That's how you reboot a franchise, guys, like that.
Yeah,
Anyways.
Yeah. I mean, when all the ships look the same, you don't like what you. Why do you got to change it? Where space looks black instead of everything looks blue and silver.
I sympathize with you. I'm just like you're a Star Trek. You're a Star Trek and a Star Wars nut. I'm more of a Star Wars nut. I'm also a Star Trek nut. And I understand everything you talk when you talk about Discovery and all that. I let you go on. And I say, yeah, sing it, because I agree with you 100%. I give up on those shows. Gave them.
They just keep doubling down on their own mythology that they're creating. Yeah, and I mean it's fine, but they're using it to supplant the mythology of the show. And it's bizarre. It's like, let's change the name of Vulcan to Navarre. Why? Why do that? I mean, I understand, but okay. Now we're going to create these warrior monks and the Romulan, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
but it just saddens your heart, right? It just
does. It does.
What could have been? What could have been? And same with Star Wars. What could have been if they? I think the move to Disney was at first I was very excited, and then I got very scared.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's what ends up happening is, as we talk about on the show, you're no longer true to the thing you purchased. You're true to the company policies that you need to adhere to. And I don't think that corporate, it's one thing to have a great property and exploit it. I have no problem with that.
Sure.
But this idea that you're changing the very thing that you're trying to promote. I mean, like at least you've got Favreau and Filoni back on Book of Boba Fett and these other shows, and Mandalorian and Ahsoka and whatever shows get made, and at least they're staying true to the lore and the look and the feel of it all. Modern Star Trek doesn't feel like Star Trek in the slightest. And it's
and then the sad thing is, if you just step aside, let the artists do their job, the people that know what they're doing do their job, and you're going to have a successful franchise.
Yeah, I mean, I look at
better chances at it anyway.
Secret Hideout had one season with Clarice, their Thomas Harris, Hannibal Lecter show.
Yep.
And that was, I mean, what's so ironic to me is that Brian Fuller creates Hannibal, one of the great horror television series of all time, based on the same material. And Alex Kurtzman, the co-creator of Discovery, does a Clarice Starling show and doesn't involve his other co-creator, Brian Fuller, to do the show. I'm like, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, I understand money, ego, and all that, but Clarice is gone. It was a failure.
Yeah,
and
of course.
It's amazing. People just keep failing upward. But anyway, on that note, after you've done so much fun with us, and we very much
We're all
appreciate.
somber now.
I know. I don't want to be somber.
Star Wars sucks. Star Trek sucks now.
Oh,
damn.
There's still the great. I mean, even the days where I can't reach it. I can't reach them too. I have to stand up. But
Sorry.
There's so many good Star Trek things that are still out there. It's all none of the great stuff has gone anywhere.
Hopefully it'll come back around again. Hopefully we'll get some good, creators in there.
Well, Exo6,
advocates,
Exo6, who's making those high-end Star Trek action figures, is crushing it. They're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, I cannot wait for the Michael Burnham. For the pre-order. I'm gonna sign. Yeah.
Look, man, we're getting mirror. So we've got Janeway is arriving, the EMH is arriving. Then they have the Chinese holiday, the Chinese New Year. So it'll be things are going to stop, but we get Mirror Spock in March. I mean, they're announcing these things and putting them out. God bless Exo6, and they really understand. I mean, they had to make Michael Burnham figures, but I'll tell you, I mean, I'll buy an Empress Georgiou. I'll buy a Mirror Universe Georgiou figure because Michelle Yeoh, why not? But that's the only Discovery figure I would ever buy.
But are the toy sales indicator of how well your franchise is doing? Like when The Force Awakens came out, the Star Wars toy sales, I don't think came anywhere close to what it was, in the heyday. Not even close.
No, they did no, because the interesting thing about Star Wars is, and any great franchise, when we met Han Solo in the original Star Wars, he'd already had many adventures. Like when you meet him, you were aware that he's a smuggler. Him and Chewbacca have a past. So if you get a toy of Han Solo and Chewbacca, you can take them on many adventures. You can go places, do things. With Force Awakens, even though those characters, like Finn was what? He was a stormtrooper that worked in sanitation?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's a character, and I thought they really did a terrible. John Boyega is a great actor, and that whole character just did a huge disservice. Like, I hate to say it, but who wants to play with John Boyega? Because even as a stormtrooper, it's not like he was in an elite fighting unit.
No, it was terrible.
And it's like, at least if you're going to make John Boyega a stormtrooper, and you're going to add him to this, and he has a crisis of conscience, he should have been a badass and, like, murdered lots of people. I mean,
yeah.
And then when he takes off, then you're going to want it, you're invested, but they didn't do the characters. Who wants to play with those characters?
No.
Even Poe Dameron.
Yeah, not interesting at all.
No.
And what a missed opportunity, eh? When that helmet comes off, the stormtrooper. I thought that was fantastic. That trailer we all saw when he takes the helmet off. Oh, the stormtrooper's he's rebelling. He's defecting. What a wicked idea! It was a good idea, but they went nowhere with it.
I know.
Nowhere with it.
I mean, the person who did the coolest thing was Holdo. Laura Dern with her maneuver.
Yeah.
I mean, that was badass.
Yeah. The Holdo maneuver.
I'm just joking. It only works once.
Yeah, just once. That's it.
Listen, Kevin, it was great to have you here.
Thanks
go to
so
the
much, Rob.
Comic Doctor on YouTube. Thanks for the giveaways. They're
my
very fun
pleasure.
for the channel. I very much appreciate it.
You got it.
All right, man. I will see you around.
If I don't talk to you again, have a happy holiday, okay?
And you too. And it's been great
Thanks so
getting
much.
to know you. And thanks for the supporting the channel with these giveaways. It's so much fun to talk to you about all this stuff.
Thanks very much. I love it as well. Thank you so much.
Stan.
Enjoy Spider-Man. Look forward to hearing your critique of it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do a full review of it. I have to. I haven't been doing full reviews of these shows, but I think that Spider-Man demands a full review.
Yeah, I think you're gonna
I got
a long episode. Yeah,
I gotta
all right,
do it. And as Stan Lee would say, you are, sir, a true believer.
Excelsior. Thank
All
you.
right, I'll see you later. That was, of course, Kevin P. Kevin, the Comic Doctor. It's always great to have him here, and congratulations to our viewer who won a 9.8. Oh, that was pretty great. to be honest. So I wanted to jump into this article that was in Esquire that I thought was really interesting, and it addresses a lot of the stuff that we've talked about. It's by Brady Langman. It was published today. Spider-Man No Way Home will be remembered for what came before it, which is strange. Gather round, ye webheads. Let's celebrate this Spider-Man Eve with a tour of Peter Parker's of years past. Director Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, yes, even the third one, which gave us Bully Maguire, will always be remembered for giving us some of the best superhero stories ever put to film. Plus, the countless other installments it inspired after Tobey Maguire hung up the spider suit in 2007. It surprised us. And now, nearly 20 years after its debut, Raimi's first Spider-Man movie feels like a museum exhibition for what it was like to enjoy a superhero film before the dawn of Reddit. Even the successor to that franchise, Mark Webb's two-film The Amazing Spider-Man series, which starred Andrew Garfield, still felt unspoiled by the doldrums of comment sections everywhere, lukewarm reception be damned. Now, this Monday night, meaning tonight, reviews will flood the internet for the latest Spider-Man outing starring Tom Holland and called No Way Home in advance of its December 17th release date. For many of you, the film's arrival feels like a birthday that you've somehow waited decades for, only having survived the build-up by vehemently speculating about each and every gift coming your way. If you used the internet in the past 2 years, you know what I'm talking about. Ever since 2019, Spider-Man Far From Home delivered on a genuinely holy shit cameo in its post-credits scene, a wide swath of people from fans to writers on the comic book beat to your kid brother and sister have tirelessly and publicly logged and debated their guesses regarding the upcoming plot. The main point of contention, of course, has been whether or not Maguire and Garfield will return to fight alongside Holland. 24 months of truly countless fan theories, Reddit trolling, YouTube commenting, fake leaks, and real leaks later, it already feels certain that the anticipation that preceded No Way Home will end up being the legacy of No Way Home. Like it or not, more shit has happened on No Way Home, on the No Way Home hype train, than you could ever humanly stuff into a movie. There was the delivery driver who alleged that he dropped off food to Andrew Garfield in Atlanta, where No Way Home was filming. Alfred Molina himself, who plays Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2, dutifully blew the lid off the secret of his return in No Way Home. Also, Jamie Foxx, who plays Electro in Garfield's films, possibly spoiling the appearance of the Spider-Men. Freaking BarkBox, a subscription service for dogs, included what looked like a picture of Maguire's Spidey suit on one of its boxes. And don't forget the fan who saw Maguire at a public park and immediately asked if he was in the new film. Of course, we all debated whether or not the picture of Garfield in front of a blue screen in his Spidey suit was photoshopped, but take a scroll through the RMCU theories, the Reddit MCU theories, and see if you can make it past "you gonna show up in No Way Home." I mean, there you go. I'm very excited for No Way Home, by the way. I've contributed to the No Way Home discourse myself, sticking mostly to the trailers. I've even enjoyed a fan theory or two along the way, mostly from the GOAT, the mediocre critic. A bit of speculating is healthy, fun. I just can't help but wonder one thing. Say we lived on our own corner of the world where Kevin Feige and the Marvel Cinematic Universe didn't rely so heavily on post-credit scenes to hype us up for the next story. Say that, real or not, we actually had some moral code for leaking plot points and set photos, one that doesn't lead to Jimmy Fallon blowing up Andrew Garfield on The Tonight Show. In this hypothetical paradise, would we end up enjoying No Way Home a little bit more? My money's on yes. But we're stuck in regular old Earth, where even the very best superhero flicks struggle to match the fully out-of-control expectations that are slapped on top of them. In the year 2041, when you ask fans what they remember from this No Way Home-sized period in our lives, I'll bet they mention more things that weren't in the film than anything that was actually in it. It's a bit like how when people talk about Twilight today, they tell war stories from waiting hours in line just to see a midnight screening instead of their shock when Edward killed that one werewolf. I haven't seen any of the Twilights. I mean, I have, but the author of this article apparently hasn't. Maybe No Way Home will deliver a surprise that none of the hundreds of fan theories managed to guess, or give us an experience that will truly stand out in the MCU's swelling catalog. Maybe. But I'd bet that years from now, poor Andrew Garfield will be getting roasted for his "I'm not in No Way Home, I promise" press tour, rather than anyone recalling a strike or blow or punch he lands on his old friend Electro. Or if we're being honest about who we are right now, he'll probably just dodge questions about his rumored involvement in another Spider-Man film. After all, Tom Holland is likely boarding the Spider-Man train for 3 more chapters. So there you go. That article comes to us from Esquire, and I think it touches on something that we as fans, we deal with a lot. And I think it reached a fever pitch with WandaVision. WandaVision was so much fun to speculate about and think about and follow that we had worked ourselves as fans into a lather about what was actually going to happen. And we had elaborately created these fictions like, oh, Mephisto was going to be in this movie. Even though, was he? No. Or series. No, he wasn't. And in a way, I don't even know. I mean, I haven't gone back to watch WandaVision, but I wonder, like, if I go back and watch WandaVision, would I like it more just being able to settle in and not speculate? Or the fact that Quicksilver shows up, they used Evan Peters, and they just were fucking with us? Like, I'm like, wow, you're getting into the multiverse, and things are happening. Maybe there was a multiversal, like I've said, that there was a multiversal rip happening before whatever spell Doctor Strange puts out. And I tend to think that Doctor Strange's spell and the multiverse rip are not necessarily entirely interrelated. I think there could have been something going on at first because of WandaVision, because of Loki, because when J. Jonah Jameson shows up, is it the same J. Jonah Jameson or is it a multiverse J. Jonah Jameson? What is it? I don't know. I really don't. But I think it's not as easy as that. I think it's not just, there's going to be a lot more to this movie than just this interdimensional rip that was caused when Peter interrupts Doctor Strange's spell. But I do think, I wonder if, let's say, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire aren't in this movie. I think there's going to be people that just say it's a disappointment. Whether it's the best movie ever made, they'll only think, well, they're the other Spider-Man aren't in the movie. And we deserved him. I mean, everyone's already, I think everyone thinks that we're going to get those characters already. And I just wonder. I wonder what it says about the state of our entertainment, that it's no longer that we're anticipating a movie and it either delivers or disappoints. We're now building up in our heads movies that don't even exist. And then we're disappointed when they're not what we thought they were. Which, I mean, that's getting into some weird territory. Weird territory that I don't quite know what it all means. But it's strange. So, we have a few more hours. I'm going to see West Side Story tonight. So, by the time I get out of the theater, the news will have dropped. The cat will be out of the bag. So it's going to be very interesting to see where it all goes, what it's all going to mean. I honestly don't know. But I'm excited for it. I mean, who's not excited for Spider-Man No Way Home? The hype train is real. I jumped on it. Heck, I ordered my black and gold spider suit before I've even seen the movie from Hot Toys, from Toys Wonderland. And how crazy is that? So anyway, I've never bought an action figure from a movie that I've never seen before, although I did send away for the Boba Fett figure, to be honest. When it was first available back in the day, I sent in my little proof of purchase, and I did get that Boba Fett figure. Of course, I think somebody's going to have to correct me on this. Had he already appeared in the holiday special as an animated character first? This is something I do not know. But we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting. Going to be fun. I'm excited. There's a lot of stuff flying around. I kind of in a way want it to be over. It's like, God, thank God. Thank God, Green Goblin. Thank God. We'll see. Yeah. What do you guys think? I don't know. You know what I do know? I know I got letters. I got a lot of letters. I got letters to read. I got this great letter. Now, I got to read this because this is kind of unusual. This is an unusual letter. This letter was addressed, this letter comes from Patrick Morrissey, and it was addressed to it was addressed to Gary Nerdrotic, the Critical Drinker, That Star Wars Girl, Doomcock, Andre from Midnight's Edge, Az, heel versus babyface, and me. And I had to read this letter because you'll see why I had to read it. This comes from one Patrick Morrissey. Dear everyone, my favorite YouTube contemplators, I have a story to tell you. Since March 2020, when I happened upon Anna, That Star Wars Girl, Gary Nerdrotic, Doomcock, Az, Robert Meyer Burnett, Critical Drinker, and Midnight's Edge. And now that I've escaped California for Nevada, which is more of a light blue than California's dark blue, it's time to share. Initially, it was Anna's passion for Star Wars and Star Trek characters that got me interested to look further into YouTube channels, which led me to the rest of you. The way I see it, you all get it. And what I mean by it revolves around the foundations of our culture. We read, we listen, we watch, we pass on stories, we share. From etchings on cave walls to the libraries of civilizations around the world to the disk we send on our spacecraft into space, humanity loves to share its stories. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm a very old fart, and I was incredibly fortunate to be around when Star Trek was first run. Went with my elementary school class to see 2001: A Space Odyssey at the Pacific Cinerama Dome. Waited in line at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood for Star Wars and the original trilogy. My parents let me stay up to watch the original run of Star Trek. Dad was a career Army enlisted and appreciated the military influences in the show. Chain of command, compassion, honor, service, as well as the female uniforms. My mom loved Captain Kirk, although she'd never admit it to my dad while he was alive. Me, I was enthralled by the stories and the characters. In the late 60s and early 70s, we had a wealth of science fiction and fantasy to watch and listen to on TV and radio. I feel like I grew up in the golden age of television and movies and storytelling. I enlisted in the Navy after high school in 1975 because I didn't trust that the military draft wouldn't be reinstated, and I didn't want to be in the Army or the Marines. I was thinking Star Trek was Navy, so it was close enough to my understanding of the military. Everyone I met, from boot camp to the surface fleet, were into Star Trek, and since we were from all over the country and represented cultures from everywhere, we often discussed episodes of Star Trek to relate our different understanding of a shipmate's culture. So here's the story for you. My first duty station out of boot camp was part of the commissioning crew of the USS Tarawa, the USS Tarawa. I think I got that right. The commissioning crew of the USS Tarawa, and that is the LHA-1. The Tarawa was the first of its class general-purpose amphibious assault ship. We, her crew, thought of her as the Galaxy class because that's how we thought. She was ultra-modern for her time and had a push-button helm and a super sophisticated engineering room. She was commissioned during the United States bicentennial year, 1977. Well, that would be 76, wouldn't it? I guess it would be but anyway. The United States bicentennial year, 1977, and we were all very proud to be plank owners. At the time of her commissioning, I was a lowly E2 seaman apprentice in deck department learning how to be a boatswain's mate, and my goal was to make seaman E3. Within a few months of the Tarawa, I think it's Tarawa. I think I'm getting it wrong. I hope I'm not. Becoming part of the fleet and going to sea for the first time. And that was when I tested for Seaman E3. After passing the written test came the review board with the different senior officers and non-commissioned officers shopping for staff in their departments. I had no career plans or lofty goals. I scored high on a few tests, which attracted some of the reviewers to my potential for something more than boatswain's mate seaman. I didn't see it personally, and I had no interest in supervising anyone or leading anyone anywhere at 19. But there was one spit-and-polished lieutenant wearing an Annapolis ring who called me aside after the review board and led me to a do-not-enter secure space. Inside the space was a huge piece of computer equipment that took up most of the room with IBM and some numbers written on what appeared to be the front. There was a little built-in greenish screen and a built-in keyboard. The lieutenant took a seat in front of the terminal and started talking about the system and what it was there for, and suggested I may have potential for getting into some kind of computer training program. And I just stared at the screen he was cursoring through and thinking to myself, I break things. Are you sure about this? And that's when my potential mentor in the 20th century asked himself out loud, what the fuck is this file? And tapped a key, and suddenly the computer's dot matrix printer started printing out reams of paper. What the fuck is this? He yelled, obviously pissed off. I looked at the printout and immediately recognized it from a book my mom had bought me for Christmas. And I told him, Sir, that's the Starfleet Technical Manual. The fucking what? He replied, annoyed at my answer. The Starfleet Technical Manual with all the schematics and plans for most of Starfleet technology, including ship designs for the United Federation of Planets, at which point he cut me off. Dist fucking missed, Seaman. And he continued, muttering to himself, how the fuck do I get this thing to stop printing this shit? So I exited the computer room without another word, and as I walked down the passageway, I had two thoughts. The first was, cool. And the second was, who the hell took the time to recreate the entire Starfleet Technical Manual in code and stored aboard a brand new U.S. Navy ship's experimental computer? Genius! 5 years later, in 1982, Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan premiered. Of course, when exposed to the Kobayashi Maru test and learning how then junior officer James Kirk reprogrammed the computer to beat the no-win scenario, I thought back to that computer room on board that ship. I decided that Jim Kirk's great-great-great-great-great-grandfather loaded the Starfleet Technical Manual into that computer as a precursor to what we can accomplish. I hope you've enjoyed my sea story, and I want you to know you inspire an old geek like myself to share great memories. Do not give up the quest to save our heroes and our culture. You have the support of millions who came before and those who will follow. Failure, dear friends, is never an option. Patrick, first of all, thank you for putting me in the esteemed company of my fellow YouTubers. I've been enjoying their content since before I was even doing YouTube, so for you to put me amongst them is quite an honor. And I want to thank you for telling this story. As you probably heard me say on the show, the Starfleet Technical Manual and the Star Trek blueprints, the blueprints of the Enterprise that came out in 1975, were hugely important to me. And what was interesting for people that don't know, the conceit of those two releases was that they really were from the 23rd century. They were designed as if they really were Starfleet issued. And I love that. That was part of the appeal of it. And it made Star Trek that much more real, those blueprints. And even though those blueprints are not canonical, it was still, they were great to have. And the technical manual is still one of the great pieces of tie-in fiction. It really holds up. You go back and you look at it now, and it might seem a little dated in terms of the fonts and the design, but it's really spectacular. And what a great thing to have. What a great letter, Patrick. Thank you very much for writing in. I very much appreciate it. Would you believe that Omar, 94, has written in? Hi, Rob moderators and the Post-Geek Singularity. Since you don't do Robservations on Saturdays, well, sometimes I do, I wanted to talk about this here. Another movie anniversary is upon us. December 11th, 2021 marks the 30th anniversary of the Steven Spielberg movie Hook, which came out on December 11th, 1991. Starring in the film were Robin Williams, Dustin Hoffman, Julia Roberts, and Bob Hoskins. It was a commercial success, making over $300 million at the box office, joining the top 10 highest-grossing movies of 1991. It was also nominated for 5 Oscars: Best Costume Design, Best Art Direction, Best Visual Effects, Best Makeup, and Best Original Song, but it won none of them. I know you hate the movie. It's true. And it has a mostly negative reception from film critics, but I will admit to having a genuine fondness for it. You had to be a certain age. Now, granted, I admit there are problems with it, but I still like it. Julia Roberts is a good actress, but I didn't like her as Tinkerbell. The little girl playing Robin Williams' daughter was really annoying. The script was, at times, a little corny. In terms of pacing, the film also drags a lot in the middle. However, there are positive aspects to the film. There are really good performances from Robin Williams, Dustin Hoffman, and Bob Hoskins. John Williams' score was great. The film is visually stunning to look at thanks to Dean Cundy's cinematography, the costumes, the hair, the makeup, the production design. Much like yourself, Steven Spielberg doesn't like the film. He said how he felt like a fish out of water making it due to not having confidence in the script, so he tried making up for it with the production values. For me, I don't think it's Spielberg at his best, but I really like Hook. I always have, and I always will. Thanks, and live long and prosper. Well, you are correct, Omar. Not a big fan of that film, but that's okay. People can like it. I found it cloying. I mean, to me, Hook and the Goonies should be on a double bill for all eternity, someplace where I never will be. So, there you go. Take that. We can't all love the same things. William La Rochelle writes in, Hi, Rob and the PGS. I just thought I would throw in my 2 cents about the canceling Bond article. First thing that came to mind is back when my mother said he was sexist. My teenage self replied, after all the times Bond has saved the world, this is the thanks he gets? Then I recalled the scene in For Your Eyes Only, the first 007 film I saw in the cinema. In particular, Lynn Holly Johnson is the figure skater trying to get into trouble by throwing herself at Bond. Roger Moore in that scene, even today, handles it with a deft comical restraint as he offers instead to go buy her an ice cream. He has his own line in the sand. Of course, I was younger than her at the time, so I could not understand why he didn't accept her advances. If there is a problem with Bond or anything else made before the culture apocalypse that has happened around 2012, it is not the fault of the content or our star, but the times we're in now. It is a time where the most fringe views are accelerated by hashtags and portrayed as a norm. I remember some people expressing outrage over Alice Eve as the young Dr. Carol Marcus undressing and Kirk peeking at her. It was only 2013, but it was amusing to see virtue signaler JJ playing to the male gaze in a way, disrespecting the future mother of Kirk's son. I only took it as a beat of humor in an otherwise unwieldy film. I reserved my lukewarm outrage for the reveal of who Benedict Cumberbatch was. Khan, with dramatic emphasis as if they're supposed to know who that is. A line strictly for the audience JJ had lied to. It also makes absolutely no sense in the context of the film. When he says, my name is Khan, who would say that? If you've never met somebody before and you're you're 300 years in the future, would you just identify yourself as Khan? Like, how many Khans have I met in my life? A lot. There's a lot of people named Khan, especially on this planet. There's movie stars named Khan. There's lots of people who live in India that are named Khan. It is not an uncommon name. For Benedict Cumberbatch in the character in that show, John Harrison or whatever, I'm like, okay. And when he says Khan with that voice, it makes utterly no sense at all. If he had said, I am Khan Noonien Singh, once ruler of a quarter of your world's population, then maybe somebody would have been like, really? I mean, Spock would have known who he was. I don't know if Kirk would have. I mean, that was 300 years ago. On Earth, 300 years ago, I was a prince. So it was pretty stupid. Just think the squeaky wheels who are not actual fans need the volume dialed down or the mute button to be used. I found that rewatching many of my older discs during the pandemic put me more into the why don't they make movies like this anymore sort of mode, and I wouldn't chalk it up to nostalgia because that can be eroded easily. Binge listen to an old song and its hold is gone. Whatever format of Star Wars I have, typically I watch it once to make sure it's a good copy, and then it sits on a shelf collecting dust. I have no idea how many times I've seen the original trilogy or Raiders. Between 1982 and 83, there were at least 3 movies I remember about regular guys becoming pimps. Night Shift, still one of my favorite movies. Bill Blazejowski is one of my favorite characters that Michael Keaton ever played. Risky Business and Dr. Detroit. Risky Business has the more elevated profile. Risky Business is my favorite teen comedy of all time. Dr. Detroit features an Aykroyd performance like fingernails on a chalkboard when he is the doctor, made a little confusing by Howard Hessman, a.k.a. Dr. Johnny Fever, having to say the doctor in a new context. It also ends with a coming soon title for The Wrath of Mom in a recognizable font. Night Shift is the only one for which I might have nostalgia, but watching it with others and lending it to others lets me know that even today there would be an audience for it. Meanwhile, there are some Police Academy movies in my collection I don't crave to ever watch again, but not because of anything politically incorrect, and I've been warned never to watch Battle of the Planets as an adult, although I've seen the trailer for a live-action Gatchaman in Japanese, which I might have to find. You should. It looks like we may see Disney Plus attempt a new Firefly. For 2002 and 2005, Firefly and Serenity were already progressive, even if I rolled my eyes at Joss giving us the shot of the man of the cloth, Shepherd Book, kneeling as if in absolution beside sex worker Inara. Maybe they will ditch the idea that the browncoats were meant to represent the Confederacy against the Alliance, or the United States, but having let 20 years pass, I don't have my hopes up for surviving original cast or characters in a movie in the same continuity. If that proves to be the case, it would be the opposite of nostalgia, and I'll just let YouTubers slog through it and hear the consensus. There is so much content I can never catch up. I love the transcript of the story break meeting between Kasdan, Lucas, and Spielberg for Raiders, especially discussing Indian Marion's backstory and Lucas saying it would be more interesting if she was 15. I think they settled on 17 for the age Indy in his 20s had slept with her. Real life is still stranger than fiction, and usually a lot more offensive than any other old movie or series deemed problematic by those who like to use the word problematic. Live long and prosper, William. Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I don't understand a lot of the culture and where it's going. I mean, I thought we were on a pretty good path. People were I think the natural evolution of human beings is that eventually we'll come to grips with there's a lot of us on this planet and we're all different kinds of people. And eventually you will come to grips with the fact, I mean, it certainly happened to me. I've seen it happen in you meet all different kinds of people. You meet people of all different shapes, size, colors, creeds, sexualities, whatever. But eventually, when you start interacting with people, they're just people. And those things that might bother you, once you start actually talking to somebody, they don't really bother you anymore, especially if you like those people. And, I reserve my hatred, and there isn't much of it. I'm not a hateful person, but there are very few people that I've met in this life that I don't like. And I've found it doesn't matter what they believe or what their sexuality is or whatever, what color they are. I tend to believe that, for the most part, people are pretty good. And when you hang out with them, you get to like them even more, no matter who they are. And this idea that what we needed was more of that. We didn't need more lines drawn in the sand. This person, this person needs that, or that person needs this. The way to solve all these problems is to simply work together, start experiencing one another as individuals, and any problems you might have with people quickly, in my experience, falls by the wayside. Good people are good people. And it's bizarre the way our culture is going. And I think what's really interesting is the identities we have as a binary species of animal. And I say that, sure, there are examples of that not being true. Yeah, of course. But, I mean, it seems like our culture is trying to drum up new reasons or new definitions so we can move away from the fact that, no, we're pretty much stuck on this planet. We are who we are. Our species works a certain way. Now, I've understood that there's all different kinds of people and different, which is fine. But now we're spinning off into these weird, bizarre, navel-gazing, I don't get it. I don't get it. And if we're not on a great path, we're on a path, we're deluding ourselves, but that's okay. It'll come back around. It always does. This next letter comes from, let's see, Shakiti Wallace. Shakiti, I've heard that name before, but I didn't know if I got it right. Shakiti Wallace. Dear Robert, Star Trek reached a new kind of low for many when the new creators of the series destroyed Jean-Luc Picard's legacy. The quality of writing and the vision behind it was something I analyzed once, knowing that my dreams of a show was just as good as Star Trek The Next Generation would never be satisfied. However, the sad fact that the show was truly garbage in many respects truly set in upon watching your detailed criticism of the ill-fated show. First of all, there is the structure of the script that not one person has sweated for hours over to the point of exhaustion, making sure that we will become enchanted with the penmanship and the delivery of the different characters' individual stories. I will not even bother to analyze the show in a scene-by-scene review, as this frustrates me greatly. First of all, the attitude that Picard has as a character has changed drastically, as you know. The same charm that the original dapper, suave Jean-Luc Picard from the past has evaporated and been replaced by an abrupt, sharp-tongued, temperamental bad man with an inability to care about people as much as he did before. He almost rushes any scene where he must show feelings, as suddenly he has no time for this and only seems to show emotion if he needs something from somebody. This type of writing of a character that originally had so much depth is a dagger in the heart for the true fans of the Next Generation. It seems the writers have yet again gotten into the habit of writing the script without giving us any type of guidance to the viewer that allows them to see the story arc that has been built to last. We need a structure we can follow, confidently knowing that the story will take us on an incredible journey that we do not want to stop. I can remember a time when I watched Picard and could not wait to see the next episode, like I used to get with Star Trek in the old days. Where are the individual stories every character has within the main story that contributed to the plot of the episode that is fun to see as we take an interested in the life of the character with a full life who may lose it all, or a dark enemy willing to risk everything to get what they need? This is part of the law when it comes to writing a great script or a book, and must always be applied. When we look at a story arc, we need to see how the characters are going to bridge the gap. I'm not saying that the writer must be completely predictable in a way where we can see it from the beginning, but that path that is taken must be clear. The right direction is the direction that makes sense. Then confuse yourself by making the story too complex to follow, which is the route many have taken, thinking that they're keeping the material fresh. There are countless problems that can be seen with Picard, to the point where it may not even be fair to blame every single member of the team, leaving the blame solely with the writers and producers in the end. I'm certain that we're due to see more of the same mess with the next season of Picard, even with the introduction of Q. We need to see a huge improvement when it comes to creative thinking across the board, as far as I'm concerned. And that's from Shiketi Wallace. Well, Shiketi, look, I feel like this channel is all about being positive and having a good time and really enjoying all this material, except when it comes to modern Star Trek. And I'll tell you, first of all, I think modern Star Trek has been held up. I called it the ongoing hostage crisis. It was given to people for corporate reasons, but not because they... Look, how many times did J.J. Abrams go on YouTube? Look up Star Trek 09 promotion. And how many times did I have to listen to J.J. Abrams say he didn't like Star Trek when he was a kid? He was a Star Wars kid. Star Trek was too intellectual. When I listened to that, I'm like, this is the guy you gave your crown jewel franchise to? And then you gave it to, the people that wrote that movie, Alex Kurtzman and Bob Orsi. Kurtzman still runs that franchise because, well, he had a contract to do so. That's something people don't talk about. I'm sure that they had a piece of it. That's why he was able to get in on that, even though Brian Fuller was there. No, I think modern Star Trek is truly god-awful. I think that it whenever I hear, well, it sounds like this person's saying a great Star Trek speech. No, it's like this empty platitude that they could have written for anyone. When the characters give these speeches, I'm like, who the fuck are you? Why are you giving this speech? You haven't earned the right. I don't believe that you're saying these words, because nothing you've done on the show up to this point has led me to believe that these words mean anything to you. It's very weird. And it's so bizarre that a show like Star Trek that has so many episodes has been churning out garbage for the last 13 years, since 2009. It's very strange. I don't understand it, and it doesn't seem that difficult. But modern writing, again, it's all the same. They're applying the same kind of writing that you would apply to any CW show or any, I worked on the Vampire Diaries. So okay, you're just transposing the same thing you would write for the Vampire Diaries into the Star Trek universe, and it is maddening in the extreme. And Picard was a show that that killed Picard and turned him into a robot in the end, which I think is just abhorrent because Star Trek in its first season did an episode called What Are Little Girls Made Of?, where there was another cyberneticist or a doctor, and Dr. Corby, and he realized making people into androids isn't a good thing. But I don't think any of the people who actually work on modern Star Trek saw that episode. Otherwise, they might not have come up with the god-awful plot threads of Picard Season 1. But you've heard me say that a lot. Zachary P. writes in, "Hello, Rob. We have a special IMAX theater in the city I grew up in, one of only 4 copies in the world, not to be confused with other types of IMAX showings that might be digital or 70mm film. This is a truly expanded 70mm copy, projected on a screen 52 feet tall and 73 feet wide, and the movie beckons you forth and seduces you in. The audio track is presented from behind the screen through a 10,000-watt sound system." I wonder what movie it is. "I recently got the opportunity to see 2001: A Space Odyssey in this theater. My dad was nice enough to take me, and I'm 30. Rob, it blew my mind. I can't even explain the sounds and the visuals. I found a very good article detailing the same experience from a few years back that paints a vivid and jaw-dropping picture of the event better than I could describe it. And frankly, this article is totally up your alley. They're showing the Nolan Batman trilogy there in 3 days, and I can't wait to see them. I hope everyone listening and reading as well. Merry respective Christmas holidays, or Christmassy holidays." Well, let's see what this article has to say. This comes from the Feedback Society. It was written on December 3rd, 2018 by Kim Kurtenbach. 2001: A Space Odyssey at Regina's Kramer IMAX Theater. The Kramer IMAX in Regina is, I don't know where Regina is screening a special print of Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. And here's the article. "Last Friday night, my wife and I attended the Kramer IMAX Theater for the opening night premiere of Stanley Kubrick's monumental 2001: A Space Odyssey, which drew a sold-out crowd of enthusiastic film fans. The film remains a stunning achievement in picture and sound, enhanced by a newly restored 4K rendering overseen by Christopher Nolan. The movie itself was the star of the evening, but the venue created a rare atmosphere of reverence. The way that great athletes are great athletes, but watching them at the Olympic level enhances the experience for spectators by the sheer extravagance and once-in-a-lifetime feeling it radiates. 2001 at the IMAX made me feel disappointed that the moon landing wasn't faked. Like the symbolic monolith discovered by Moonwatcher in the film, the Regina IMAX Theater displays a towering presentation, one that strikes hard to those who have never seen a movie in this format. This format is a global rarity, one of only 4 copies in the world, not to be confused with other types of IMAX showings that may be digital or 5 70mm film. This is a truly expanded 15 70mm copy, projected on a screen 52 feet tall and 73 feet wide. The movie beckons you forth and seduces you in. The audio track, already a magnificent beast in its own right, consider all the great sounding musical recordings of the late 1960s, is projected from behind the screen through a 10,000-watt sound system. More on the audience effect of that later, but let's just say for now, it's like the amp that goes to 11. Cut into 3 sections: The Dawn of Man, Jupiter Mission, Jupiter and Beyond the Infinite, with an intermission at roughly the 90-minute mark. Yes, they took an actual 15-minute intermission for drinks and the long line bathroom breaks. The film moves along smoothly despite having a longer runtime without dialogue. That is to say, of the 148-minute runtime plus intermission, nearly 88 minutes of the collective footage is without dialogue. While this description can be a real turnoff to the casual moviegoer, it's a rich reward for the patient film fan. In fact, the sensation may not be unfamiliar to those who watched last year's television wonderments, Twin Peaks: The Leftovers. The difference here is that 2001 uses noise and the voids, the visual innovation, and long periods of carefully orchestrated symphony of sound to not only suspend your disbelief, but to totally screw with your sense of time and how time passes for a direct purpose. The purpose is all in the name of a beautifully ambiguous final scene. Consider the way you get lost in old photographs you find in a bin at home while listening to music. Before you know it, an hour and a half has passed, but so has 15 or 20 or 30 years of memories. In fact, without all the effort of 2001 to have you submerged and spinning in this slightly haunting, suspicious art gallery of a space carnival, it presents on the IMAX screen, you may be ill-equipped to consider the ending at all. 2001 was originally released on April 4th, 1968, to very mixed and if not downright negative reviews. It has been said that more than 200 people walked out of the premiere. One of the most famous being Rock Hudson, who, perplexed, asked, "Can someone tell me what the hell this is about?" It confounded critics and confused its audience, and people that are confused for too long, say 148 minutes plus intermission, begin to feel stupid. And if there's one thing that can be said about people in general, is that no one likes to feel stupid. To that end, the reviews of 1968 were not all flattering. They called it boring. It was hard to sit through without talking. It was slow. It didn't explain things very well. These articles and harsh critiques are becoming increasingly difficult to Google as the modern era doesn't want to admit that it once failed to recognize 2001 as anything but a masterpiece. But the fact was, at the time of its original release, people in general, beyond not getting it, didn't realize that they didn't have to get it. Some people got it too much because, what was popular in 1968? Drugs, and lots of them. Taking hallucinogenics or smoking weed and experiencing the film became a niche thing. It somehow became the measuring stick to tell if you were packing your bowl too tight, or not tight enough, as the case may be. Maybe it was that segment of the audience, or just the relentless, never-ending push of the faithful to see beyond the stuffy reviews of the time that allowed 2001 to stay in theaters long enough to reach that tipping point where, over time, more and more people began to praise it rather than dismiss it. But still, there is no getting it. If your expectation is to drive down to the Regina IMAX, grab a popcorn, and understand every nuance of the relentlessly anatomized 50-year-old movie that is consistently mentioned as a top cinematic influencer of the past century, well, stop. You might as well try to understand and explain to everyone else Andy Warhol's soup cans or Salvador Dali's everything. Come to think of it, Revolution Number 9 by the Beatles. Let's face it, 2001 is a movie you just might not get. Would you like me to try and explain it? Well, I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. But here's the good news. It doesn't matter. It's an experience. What can I do for you and will continue to do is place emphasis on why it's worth your time to make the trip, however far or near, to the Regina IMAX before the last showing on January 4th of the new year. Anytime I ask fellow Regina residents when the last time they were at the IMAX was, I usually see a furrowed brow, followed by a long pause, followed by an offhand remark about 42 minutes of birds or sea life or trains. I suppose it's hard to see what's right in front of you, and that's partially why the mind tends to conjure up locations. When I say once-in-a-lifetime movie experiences, the likes of Burbank, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Toronto, and London. When I say that the Regina IMAX is special, I mean that beyond a convenient, it's just down the street way. It's globally unique. Not 3 short years ago, the CBC tried to alert everyone to this fact by underscoring the significance of Star Wars: The Force Awakens being shown in Regina. I hope it's not Regina. I think it's Regina. But if I'm wrong, I'm sure I'll hear about it. The current copy of 2001 being shown for the month of December is one of the just 4 very expensive copies in the world. They were created from the original negatives into a format that fits the gargantuan screen perfectly to its slight curvature. At 3 times the size of its nearest counterpart, the new configuration has the film running horizontally as opposed to the vertical movement of traditional projectors. While there are over 1,000 IMAX theaters in 66 countries around the world, North America has about a dozen that could accommodate the 4 special prints. The sound system is both compelling and peculiar in its own right. While we're currently accustomed to the surround sound experience both at home and in the new digital theaters, the Kramer Regina IMAX has the audio tracks emanating from the behemoth of a screen. I have heard rumors that there are as many as 70 speakers creating the 10,000 watts of sound, and it lacks nothing in terms of filling all the space of the 159-seat room. And here lies another unique aspect of the IMAX 2001 experience. The sounds of the film, and there are many, including digital squelching, magnified breathing in space helmets, crescendos of symphonic triumph, the swirling, rising, bewildering cacophony of noise, and followed by the impossible madness of a deafening nothingness, all intertwined with the normality of daily conversation, assault your senses in such a powerful way that you are affected by it as an audience entity. This is a great article, man. I want to thank you for sending it in. This is, you know what? Shaketi Wallace wrote in again. Dear Robert, the state of the Star Trek franchise has become a complete disappointment. Just hearing you speak about the new Discovery series disheartens me and makes me feel sad. There is a point where you see a franchise that has been built over a long period that makes sense, and you know you're in for a ride of a lifetime. This is not how I'm feeling right now. Writing great material is something you must do with the belief that the material you produce can stand the test of time, and once the series takes off, the planned future that you set out to create has a tangible storyline. Take the premise behind the Star Trek series featuring William Shatner as James T. Kirk. It was a perfect creation for many, and the use of fresh and simple ideas mixed with scientific adventure was unbelievably attractive. The search for new worlds not to conquer but to explore made many wonder what was in store for the crew of the Starship Enterprise. The investigation into the unknown was something that children and adults alike dreamed of doing, and this could be used to make many imagine as the thought about what they would be doing if they were Jim, Spock, or McCoy. There was a time when I watched the old Star Trek and I thought of special effects as I watched or interesting camera tricks that were used. I was too busy being enthralled by what I saw. As I grew older, what happened behind the scenes interested me more, but it was my love of seeing the stories play out that always got my attention more than anything else. And that is the beauty of the Star Trek we saw up until Star Trek Enterprise. Why have the storylines become like fractured bones which cannot be healed? There's no strength in the plot. If you want to continue an idea, you must make us want to see what the conclusion will be. The excitement must not be marred by stupid and questionable sentences which seem like gibberish. No spouting nonsense that makes no sense even to a child. Draw us in. Use the writing to try and show us what a delight Star Trek science is when it's believable in a way that you can push the boundaries with the storytelling. Imagine the story of the Pied Piper if you will accept with a wordsmith instead, and what he writes, and all who sees the word can't help but let themselves be led wherever the story goes because the tale triggers excitement as much as it inspires. A franchise lasts because the masses follow if the characters have a solid story to tell, and we can see that the world that is being built has the potential to live on in our hearts and minds because of interesting concepts and plot lines written by intelligent people. There must be a clear message for all to see, one that we can read into, knowing that a culture has been created that can affect other cultures, and where we can see an evolution and a quality that entices us as viewers. This is the way forward, and it should be how the creators of Star Trek begin to think if they are to propel the series back into the arena of giants where it once was. The best franchises stand out for what it does for the collective fan base who watch it, and drawing in those who love to see a well-produced show that is filled with the kind of potential which leads to a whole new world of talent being seen and drives people to want to become a part of what has been developed simply for their viewing pleasure. That's from Shaketi Wallace again. I like those letters. That was good. Let's see what you guys are saying. What are you saying? I don't know. But I'm going to find out. Wait, you know what? There's a letter someone wrote in that I did not get to, that I want to get to, beginning right here. And it comes from The Film Guy. The Film Guy sends in a tip and says, "Hey, Rob, this is actually a really interesting question. So, Rob, is Hollywood bleeding? Or have the previous budgets for films now been so inflated to avoid paying back investors that we are now seeing that some of these tentpole films are actually profitable on half box office returns?" Well, Film Guy, as you might have heard me read, no, I think Hollywood's bleeding. The amount of money that these movies are taking in, they are woefully underperforming. Even No Time to Die. The common Hollywood wisdom is that a movie used to have to make 3, but now it's almost 4 times its budget to be considered profitable. So if you have a movie that costs $150 million to make, you're looking at $600 million just to see that movie. There's where your profit is. $600 million. Now, if you look at movies like Shang-Chi or Eternals or Black Widow, Those movies probably cost more than $150 million, and they haven't made 600. None of them have made anywhere close to 600 million. But the problem is, in terms of where these movies are at right now, Hollywood's bleeding, but they had to put them out. They had to get some kind of money coming back into those studios, and it's brutal. It is brutal out there. But luckily, a lot of the studios, like a Disney, they will defray the costs of their Marvel movies because they go right on to Disney Plus. So that's a good thing for them. It's a good thing for the movies. But yes, make no mistake, people are losing cash, unfortunately. Russ, this was from this morning. I'll read it again. Russ Man said an 18-year-old can't get a $10,000 loan for a small business, but a college will loan him $100,000. That tells you all you need to know. Elon Musk said that. And Elon Musk, of course, was voted Time's Man of the Year. And that was kind of interesting. And Russ Man goes on to say, oh, and Rob, I enjoyed your appearance on the Drinkers' millionth celebration. What a great panel. Hail. Well, thanks, Russ. I appreciate the support. Terrier says, I look forward to watching Optimus Prime enter the MCU. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, you can't cross those streams. Terrier also goes on to say, No Way Home marks growth. No one likes to die while jacko off. I don't know. I think there's worse ways to go. You know, at least I'd like to get off before I got off my mortal coil or something like that. Terrier. But, yeah. Mike Castro says, can I request a Discovery rant? Well, you may ask. That's a little joke. I'm bummed thinking how the Trek franchise can recover from modern Trek. Will niche franchises ever exist again, or will we continue to be stuck with mass appeal, dumbed-down franchises? Look, you know what? I mean, obviously Paramount Plus has Halo coming out. It's very possible that Halo's performance on Paramount Plus might blow away what Star Trek has been doing. And if it does, I think there's going to be a really interesting change when it comes to Star Trek. But we will see. We will see. Tom says, what are the chances Robert Downey Jr. has a cameo as Tony? You know, I've heard people say that. It's interesting, although, I mean, you'd have to have Tony from a different universe, which means he's not our Tony. I think it would be kind of cheap. I hope they don't do that. I know people are saying it could happen. And look, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I just hope it doesn't happen because I think it would be a little cheap. Unless they do it they figure out a way to do it really well, and maybe it won't be so cheap. Stubble McShave says, Rob, are you going to get a delivery from Mike and the P.O. Box in time for Christmas? I don't know if people have sent in stuff, but you might like a few Christmas presents, even if you're not celebrating it. I would like a few Christmas presents. And if anybody wants to send me like an actual physical thing, you know, and they're not going to send me like flaming dog poo or something in the mail, I'm happy to provide you an address direct to me, if that's something you want to do. I love presents. I haven't done an unboxing in a long time. So I don't know. It might be. I would be happy to send you my address if you want to do that. Keelam Killer sends in a tip and says, just my luck. I was the first person to buy my tickets for Spider-Man at my hometown Regal, and unfortunately today I tested positive for COVID. Oh, dude. Going to gift my ticket to my sister so she can be there for me in spirit. Oh, man. Were you vaccinated? Were you wearing a mask? How'd you get? I'd be curious. I just am curious. When people find themselves positive, how do you think you got it? Because obviously I'm vaccinated, but our vaccinations don't stop us from getting COVID. They just mitigate our potentiality in terms of what can happen to us. But I'd be curious so I can like not do that. But I'm sorry, man. Oh, you'd have to stay off the internet too. Oh, man. That's a bummer. I feel for you, Keelam Killer. As a matter of fact, I'll pour one out for you tonight. I don't have enough in here. I don't have any alcohol in here, but I'd pour one out for you if I did. So this next Alan Chamberlain became a member. Alan, Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Nick, by the way, we will have a membership call this weekend, which should be fun to talk about Spider-Man. Nick Parrish sends in a tip and says, "What's up, Rob? So for 2 weeks, I've been in the quiet before the storm, and what No Way Home will be remembered for is bringing a historic thunder to the box office and holiday cheer back to theater owners. 175 million opening weekend minimum guaranteed." You know what, Nick? I would have said, nah, I don't know. But you might be right. You might be right. People are going to roll out for this movie. They're going to see it. Yeah. Ethan Holgate says, "Hi, Rob. Out of curiosity, have you seen a 1982 history time travel show, Voyagers?" I remember Voyagers, starring John Eric Hexum. Such an underrated gem from the 80s that only ran 20 episodes. Every episode is so entertaining, and it's a real sad shame that John Eric Hexum died so young. Yeah, he died. It's. I did watch that show. I don't remember it much though. I didn't watch all of it. I caught it when it was on, but I liked it. I mean, it was fun. I think it got made because of Time Bandits. To be honest, I think that's what I remember most about it. But we shall see. I just haven't seen it in a long time. God, it's 40 years old. It's crazy. And it is John Eric Hexum died. It was one of those on-set accidents. Not good. Jeff Yerke and the lovely Mrs. Yerke sends in a tip and says, "Hi, Rob. We got to talk about The Expanse. Episode 1 of the new season left me cold. Dial-a-scene settings combined with cliche dialogue by Naren Shankar. Come on, Naren. Left us upset and PO'd. What's your take?" The Yerk Man. To be honest, I thought that the first episode, I watched it twice, is, I will say to you, a bit by the numbers. I liked Inaros' speech, but it was a bit by the numbers. I thought, it's only a 6-episode season, so, I know it was all set up to sort of bring us back where we needed to be, but I did think it was a little, I will hold out. I'm sure it's going to get better. I've heard the season's really, really good, so we shall see, but, I think both you and Mrs. Y are, not wrong in your assessment. But I'm hoping it's going to get better. David Crabtree sends in a tip and says, "Greetings, Sir Rob. Just stopped in to say hi to you in the Post-Geek Singularity." Well, hello. Back on track with the Cyber Mech saga, scheduling 2 hours a night and more time on the weekends to work on the book. You continue to be a creative inspiration. I've got a fun letter coming soon. Well, David Crabtree, I've always been a fan of your art, as you know. I still have all the pieces of art you have on my computer that you sent to me, and John, you actually did some great stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing the book. And once again, congratulations on creating something that's uniquely yours. I think it's very, very cool. That funny guy sent in a super chat. Thanks, that funny guy. Mikey P subscribed to the channel. Thank you, sir. Cyber Shaman X, or is it Cyber Shaman 10? Or is it Cyber Shaman? Oh, Cyber Shaman X sent in a super chat and said, "I'm halfway through Star Trek Coda, but I almost chucked the book. When, spoiler alert, Spock wistfully wondered how his half-sister Michael Burnham felt when confronting the Control AI. It was so out of place." You're not the first person I talked to about this. Mikey knows what I'm talking about if he's watching. Yeah. It's really weird. It's bizarre that with the Star Trek. Here's what I don't like about it. So I don't know if I should spoil. I guess I can spoil it. The books are out. It doesn't really. It's not really a spoiler. So the Star Trek Coda book series is the wrapping up of the Litverse, the Star Trek Litverse continuity that goes all the way back to 2002. And basically what the Litverse did was it took the Star Trek universe beyond Nemesis, post-Dominion War. And for 20 years, we've had a very long, closely intertwined continuity with all the Star Trek novels. I mean, not all of them are part of this continuity, but a lot of them, most of them were. And it was really because when they go back and tell a classic story or something, this was all post-Dominion War, post-Nemesis. So it was Star Trek, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. It was all those characters, and they created many new characters, and it was really amazing. But now the problem with this Litverse is when Star Trek Picard came out, none of it reconciles with the continuity, all the continuity in Star Trek Picard, which is considered real Star Trek. All of that meant that the Star Trek Litverse, that 20 years of people that really loved Star Trek and wrote these great stories, was null and void. Null and void. Bye-bye. But the writers asked, they went to John Van Citters, the brand manager of Star Trek, and they said, look, so James Swallow, Dayton Ward, and David Mack got together and they came up with a storyline which is basically their version of DC's Crisis on Infinite Earths. And it is a rollicking good time. But, and I knew they were going to do this. I have not said this. I'm just going to say it right now. I knew they were going to do this. I knew what they were going to say, that the universe, the entire thing that we have been reading about for the last 20 years was not the prime Star Trek universe. It wasn't our Star Trek universe. It was a different universe. Now, there was no way they could have gotten around this with the story they told, and I'm not going to get into what it all means, but I mean, obviously, they have to do that because the Star Trek, the prime universe, the Star Trek Picard universe that we now have, that's the real, for better or for worse, that's the real universe. Now, in my mind, it's not. But I understand like why they did it. So I thought putting Michael Burnham in and mentioning Michael Burnham was a mistake because she shouldn't have existed in that universe. You could have just said that the Voyager or the Discovery never existed. You didn't have to do that. But they did it. And dude, it was so cringe. I'm like you. I was like, what? So they went back and they had to retroactively shoehorn this shitty Star Trek in their book. And I understood why they did it. Luckily, they kept it down to a minimum. But yes, like you, I wasn't going to throw the books across the room. But I did feel that it was. I mean, I know they had to do it. It was just lame. Lame. AJDZ sends in a super chat and says, in Voyager's flashback episode, Janeway pays tribute to Kirk and understands their methods were a bit different for a different age. It would never happen today. And also in Deep Space Nine and Trials and Tribulations. 23rd century technology. Yes, but you're right, AJ. It never would happen today. I mean, look, the people that are making Star Trek now want to change Star Trek into their vision of Star Trek because they think that they can, and they've been allowed to. They've been allowed to by the franchise holders, like, do what you want to it. And what they've done to it is run it into the ground. Speaking of ground, we have sending in a tip. Thank you, my dear. Much obliged. How's your mom? Please say hello to your mother for me. Chloe Fanning sends in a tip and says, funny thing, the only advertisement that I've seen on Roland Emmerich's Moonfall has come from conspiracy channels where they believe that ancient civilizations or aliens put the moon there. Go figure. Either way, I love a good disaster movie, good or bad. Well, Chloe, I'm with you. I can't wait to see Moonfall. I am very excited. I probably shouldn't, but, why not? It's right up my alley. Come on, the moon is just an alien. It was an alien artifact. I love that idea. Bring it on. Amer Helmy subscribe to the channel. Well, thanks, Amer. Welcome to the channel. Rick Squire sends in a tip and says, the NASA, dude, NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory and California Institute of Technology researchers believe that the galaxy is home to many dead alien civilizations whose technological advances in turn destroyed them. Your thoughts? Well, that's part of what they call the Great Filter. It is a thought that why haven't we come across any alien races? Well, many don't survive. That the Great Filter is that sentient beings reach a place in their lives where their technology outpaces their wisdom, and certainly we seem to be going in that direction, and they don't survive. And I think that's probably true. I mean, obviously the James Webb Telescope. I think that we might learn some revolutionary. Let's hope the James Webb Telescope, which launches on the 22nd, Godspeed James Webb Telescope, because it's 100 times more powerful than the Hubble, and who knows what it's going to discover. But I hope it all works. I hope it gets into where it's supposed to be in its position 1 million miles from Earth, and I can't wait. And I think, I mean, I don't know if we're not going to be able to like necessarily see advanced civilizations from here, but there's ways that we can learn more about planets in various systems based on what we will be able to see with that telescope. So I think, I mean, I do believe in that, Rick. I think there are probably, and if you think about it, I mean, if you really think about it, okay, if you think about galactic time and you think about life on Earth, right now we've only been broadcasting television signals since the 30s. So let's say, there's some advanced civilization that took a flyby of Earth 50,000 years ago, which is in galactic time nothing. And it's like, there's a nice little habitable planet. And they just rolled on by because there was no evidence of technology. They might have known that we were alive with a wealth of life forms, but no intelligent civilization there. They probably, and whoever could roll by and see us. But if you think about it, the time frame, I mean, there's just been a tiny fraction of galactic time where human beings could even communicate with someone. So there's a good bet that we might have been part of an interstellar bypass at one point, and there were ships coming and going all the time, but we were a primitive planet with no intelligent life on it. I mean, we had all kinds of animals that are intelligent, but nobody that they could communicate with. So I don't think that that's necessarily out of the realm of possibility. I think there probably are a lot of dead civilizations, and how depressing would that be? But maybe if we do get evidence somehow, maybe if the James Webb Telescope tells us something we don't already know, that we'll be able to buy a vowel and pull our head out of our collective asses and do something with our entire planet. Mike Acampo has subscribed to the channel. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Louis Terrasas, how are you, sir? Yo, Rob, what are your final predictions for Spida? In terms of, I think our esteemed viewer early on, who just a few moments ago said 175 million, I would go with that. I think it's going to shatter any kind of pandemic records, and it's probably going to come close to shattering pre-pandemic records for sure. Cyber Shaman X says, but you probably want to know what my final predictions are for the story. Here's the thing. I think we're going to see a lot more interesting characters from the MCU than we realize what we're going to see. At least that's my understanding. Just some of them, it's just fun cameos, characters that we are scheduled to see more of, characters that we haven't seen yet, characters we've already seen in different roles. That's what I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be a blowout, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. But I think it's going to be very successful. But I don't know. Are Toby and Andrew in the movie? Probably. If they're not in the movie, I think that if they weren't in the movie before, I think they were going to put them in now, because if they weren't, people would be pissed. Cyber Shaman X says, P.S. Would you be interested in doing a discussion of the Star Trek Coda book series? Book Trek deserves a true coda from you, sir. You know what? It's true, and I've been thinking about doing it, and I think I should. And all these people re-up their memberships since they're here. Jeffrey Johnson, Dwayne Oldson, Joshua Levesque, thank you. Valiant Renegade, Dave Atkin, Art Ross, Paul J.C. Marshall, thanks for becoming members. Kevin sends in a super chat. Rob, any word when the short story competition is coming back? Yeah, after the first of the year, we're going to wrap up the film festival and give out the awards, and then start the short story contest, probably in February. Gift of Flaming Poo sends in a tip and says, could you please recommend a good Frank Herbert book outside the Dune series? The White Plague. I read The White Plague. I thought that was interesting. That was kind of later Herbert, though. I'm like, I want to say, what's the Lazarus Effect? I want to say, is it? Hang on, I have to look. I have to see. I'm looking to see. Was it the last? I don't know. Oh, the White Plague was 82. God, that long ago. What else did I like that he published? Oh, the Green Brain. I forgot about I read the Green Brain. I like the Green Brain. I forgot about that. Man, these are so old. The Lazarus Effect. That's right. He wrote that after the White Plague. I like that. I enjoyed that. And the Jesus Incident that he wrote. Those 2 books he wrote with Bill Ransom. And I like those. But those are the things that first came to mind, so I'd go with those. Nick Parrish says, "Hey, Rob, I just want to give a shout-out to the one studio that actually looks like it's profiting, and that's Sony. Venom has made 5 times the budget, and Ghostbusters has quietly made some nice money domestically. Studio, take notes from Sony. Modest budgets work." Well, I think that's really important to note that Ghostbusters Afterlife was made for less than $100 million. And the Venom movies, they're able to keep those budgets down as well. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's the future of Hollywood. They're going to have to bring these budgets down back from, because if we're not going to have a theatrical marketplace that's going to survive with movies can't cost $200 million and not make $1 billion. We just can't. We can't. That's not going to be sustainable. Or even it's got to make, what did I say? So 800 million to break even. It's just not going to. It's not going to work. Ria Lavi says, "I've not watched a single minute of Kurtzman Trek. Is it any good?" No. Now there are people that really like it, and I don't want to take that away from people. I am not a casual viewer of Star Trek, so it's hard for me to. And I think a lot of people, when it comes to Star Trek, if they watch something and they're entertained by it, I don't want to take that away from them. I am not, and here's what I can't stand. People are like, "Well, Rob, they're not making Star Trek for you." No, they should make Star Trek for everybody. That's how Star Trek was made in the first place. Star Trek should be made for everyone to enjoy. Great stories, great characters. As Alex Kurtzman has just flat out said, we are using Star Trek as a platform for the message. Well, what message? Why do you have a message to tell me? What makes you think you know something that I don't know? I mean, you can't even tell a good story. What makes you think your message is worth hearing? That's what I would say. So I don't find, look, a lot of people like Star Trek 09. I think, again, it's all the main characters are idiots. Kirk is an idiot. Spock is an angry, he jumps around like an angry monkey in a zoo. He's angry all the time, smashing things. He's one step away from flinging his poo across the bridge. He's terrible. And that's not to take away from Zachary Quinto. That was how the character was written and directed. But there's a lot of people that like Star Trek 09. It's a fun sci-fi action-adventure romp. No, I think it's a monumentally brain-dead film that just steals a bunch of scenes from other better movies. I hate all of Star Trek from 2009 on. There is none of it that I've found any good. I watch it because it's Star Trek, and I'm a lifelong student of Star Trek as a franchise, but I think it's god-awful entertainment. However, there are people that like it, and I would suggest... I mean, it's so sad to me that the best thing that could have come out of Kurtzman Trek is the Khan miniseries that Nicholas Meyer wrote. The 3-night Khan miniseries. That's what they should make. If all would be forgiven. No, maybe not. It wouldn't be forgiven, but it would go a long way towards somebody. Nicholas Meyer should have been able to, but he was dismissed. He was dismissed with Brian Fuller, but they should let him do it. Paramount Plus. If anyone's watching right now, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know how it was created. Probably the way that Secret Hideout and Bad Robot have been able to hold on to the Trek franchise for over a decade now. It truly is a hostage crisis. Go get Nicholas Meyer and go make his 3-night Khan miniseries. Go do it. You know, and cast a great Indian actor in the part of, somebody who's actually from India, in the part of Khan. You know, that would be great. And somebody badass. That'd be greatest thing ever. So, there you go. I hope I didn't bum you out. But, Lavi, there you go. Ria Lavi. What a cool name. Ria Lavi. I like that name. Anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gentle beings, kind souls, however you identify across these 28 known galaxies, Wow, what is happening with my hair today? I apologize to everyone for my hair looking the way it does. Some people think I'm bragging that don't have hair. Like Az would be like, oh, great. But this is not a good look. Anyway, I want to say to everybody who supports the channel, thank you for supporting the channel via tips and super chats. And for you who are members, we're going to have a membership call this weekend. That'll be fun. I want to thank my great moderating staff. Louise X. Sparrow is here. Joshua Levesque is here. I think Justin Toner was here. I don't know. Maybe he's not. I want to thank you all for being who and what you are and being the great... Lord Toth is here. Thank you, Lord Toth. So it's great having... Justin Toner is here. Darren Seeley is here. Thank you for being the moderators that you are. And on that note, I'll be back with the Hollywood Half and Half tomorrow. I like it at 9. I can do that at 9. It's fun. People seem to like it. I don't know. Not a lot of people watch that show. I'll keep doing it. See where it goes. It's fun. I have fun doing it. Plus, it makes me look for other entertainment news than just the entertainment news that we dress here. And on that note, I would say to everybody, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. And with that, I would say to all of you, Spider-Man, Spider can, or whatever. Doing whatever Spider can. I don't even remember the lyrics, but it's coming. We're all going to have a fun time. This brings Robservations episode 770 to an end. And I say to all of you, of course, have a better day.